What happens when a spy novel is too real? Well, my friend Chuck Van Soy, S-O-E-S-O-Y-E, wrote a new spy novel. This is the third book he's written, and I was able to get a sneak peek of it before anyone else. And it is really incredible, and that's why I want to share it with you today. So I'm going to give you 3 reasons why you guys all need to run out and buy on Amazon.com. The spy novel is called The China Oil Plot, and it has everything. But first, I'm going to tell you the reason why is because of the author's background. The second is because the plot is really excellent, and the third is because of the exotic location. So number 1, the author was a military officer, and he brings all that background in. He has the spy in question is Bett, and I find it interesting that his name is very close to mine. Oh wait, no, I'm not a spy. But anyways, so Bett was a military officer, and he deals with a lot of military issues. So he brings all that background, all those military words and lingo in. And it's full of amazing weapons. Any weapon fans? Thank you. I'll make sure I don't get on your bad side. He brings in a lot of interesting detail about the weapons, and Bett actually is researching China's weapons, and he puts together a huge research on China's weapons. He brings a lot of that information in, and I found that very interesting. The second part of the author's background is he's a chemical engineer, which is really interesting for us engineers. And he brings a lot of chemistry and environmental science into the book. Really fascinating stuff that I found really interesting. But that all plays into the plot because Bett goes undercover to be a chemical engineer, even though he actually has a whole set of people up in the government who are doing all the research. But he's basically put into this situation where he has a lot of access to information down in a foreign country, which I will get to under the plot. So the 2 things about the author is that he's in the military, and so he knows a lot of the military information, and he's a chemical engineer. He brings all that into the story. The second great thing about this book is the plot. Now, I'm glad we have some women here today. Bett marries this beautiful Chinese expatriate, and she's actually a pretty big character in the plot, and she's very exciting. I really like her. So good for us, yay. Good strong woman lead. But Bett basically was a military researcher and a chemical engineer, and he developed some weapons of his own. But then he gets assigned to go down to Caracas, and in Caracas, he is supposed to be infiltrating the Chinese and the Venezuelan governments to find out about this China oil plot, which I don't want to tell you guys too much about, but it involves a lot of weapons, very large weapons. So he's down there, and he gets invited to the embassies, and he becomes very good friends with the China embassy people. And I don't want to tell you too much more about it, but it's very intriguing, and his wife and his family, and they're all there, and the stakes are very high, and he keeps getting more and more involved in this deception, which that's why he's a spy. But they all think that he's just a chemical engineer. So the plot is very exciting, and this scary part about it is I was just listening to NPR the other day, and they were talking about Chavez and his medical conditions, which is all actually very integral to the plot. So as Chavez is getting sicker, the Chinese are making accommodations to make sure that they control the China oil that they need so much coming out of Venezuela. So that is very exciting, and that's just a little sneak peek about the plot. The third reason why you guys definitely need to read this is the exotic location. Anyone been to Venezuela? All right, so you can tell that it's a beautiful, beautiful country, but it's also a very dangerous country. And when we get to travel there, your wife is from there, right, Joe? Yeah, it's a dangerous country. And the statistic that he points out is that there's more murders in a weekend in Caracas than there is in Iraq. It's a very dangerous country. that's why it's great to go there through a novel, because you get to see the beautiful spangled ocean. I don't know if the grammarian's going to let me get away with that one. And you get to watch the beautiful sunrise and sunset and travel around in the countryside. So Caracas is an exotic location, which I prefer to travel to by a novel. And that is the 3 reasons. So the author has a really interesting background, the plot is very exciting, and it's an exotic location. So please go and buy it. It's a very exciting book, The China Oil Plot by Chuck Van Soy. Mr. Toastmaster.
All right.